This video contains sensitive courtroom testimony. Viewer discretion is advised. This content is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Diddy is gone, and not in the way anyone expected. A courtroom just heard what may be the most chilling testimony yet. Victims stood up and exposed a side of him the public was never meant to see. Behind the music, behind the fame, lies a story of control, fear, and hidden crimes. What you're about to hear may change everything you thought you knew. Recent shocking trial. On the morning of May 5, 2025, the courtroom doors opened to one of the most anticipated trials in the entertainment world. After years of rumors, lawsuits, and civil claims, Diddy Combs was now facing a federal trial. Jury selection began in the first week of the proceedings and lasted several days. Federal prosecutors and defense attorneys questioned potential jurors carefully, aware that the high-profile nature of the case brought unavoidable media influence. It was not easy to find 12 individuals who claimed they had no opinion about one of the most famous men in the music industry. In the end, a full jury was seated, a diverse group of men and women who now held the responsibility of weighing the allegations against Diddy based on nothing but the facts. Opening statements were delivered on May 12. Prosecutors laid out what they called a pattern of behavior that stretched back decades. They described a network of power and control, organized through fear, secrecy, and money. According to their statements, this was not about isolated mistakes or wild celebrity parties. It was about structure, exploitation, and crimes that left a trail of victims across the country. One of the most striking moments came when prosecutors introduced some of the central evidence gathered from the federal raids on Combs' properties. These raids, conducted in March 2024 at his Beverly Hills mansion and his estate in Miami's Star Island, had uncovered large volumes of material. Prosecutors revealed that among the seized items were surveillance videos, internal communications, guest lists, encrypted messages, and financial documents. They described how some of the footage showed private events that would become key to the prosecution's case. While the court did not make all materials public, the judge confirmed that they would be reviewed during the trial under strict evidentiary guidelines. Throughout the first week, family members of Combs were seen attending court. Their presence was noted by both the media and courtroom observers. At times, they appeared quiet and somber, offering no public comment as the proceedings unfolded. The mood among the defense team was visibly tense. They objected to portions of the prosecution's opening, pushing back on characterizations they said were unfair or speculative. But the prosecution stayed focused, insisting that the facts would speak for themselves. Now let's take you into the most shocking and devastating part of this trial. The moment victims began stepping forward, one after another, revealing horrific details of what they say Diddy did behind closed doors. What they described left the courtroom stunned. Victims' horrific revelations. One by one, victims have stepped forward, some speaking publicly for the very first time. Their voices are steady but heavy. What they reveal is not just difficult to hear, it is disturbing in its depth and detail. Each testimony adds to a growing picture of what prosecutors describe as a long-standing pattern of abuse, intimidation, and control. These are not shallow accusations. These are detailed accounts of events that took place behind locked doors, away from cameras and public praise. Victims have described environments where fear replaced safety, where silence was enforced, and where power was used not to protect but to exploit. Cassie Ventura. First comes Cassie Ventura, the longtime partner of Diddy Combs, delivered some of the most emotional and powerful testimony in the ongoing trial. Having first filed a civil lawsuit in November 2023 accusing Combs of rape, sex trafficking, and physical abuse, she has now taken the witness stand under oath to provide deeper, first-hand details of what she endured during their relationship. In her testimony, Cassie spoke about the private world behind Diddy's public image. She described how she was regularly coerced into what were referred to as freak-off secret gatherings involving multiple partners, often arranged without her full consent. She stated that Combs used fear, manipulation, and his influence to pressure her into participating, leaving her feeling trapped and powerless. According to her, these were not one-time incidents, but repeated events that became part of a cycle of control and humiliation. Cassie also about the violence she experienced behind closed doors. She shared specific instances of physical abuse, including threats, intimidation, and being subjected to acts of cruelty meant to degrade and isolate her. Her account supported broader claims by prosecutors who alleged that Combs maintained control over people around him through fear and manipulation. One of the most damning pieces of supporting evidence came in the form of a 2016 surveillance video, already entered into the court record. The footage shows Combs physically assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway, pushing and dragging her in a disturbing confrontation. That video, combined with her spoken testimony, painted a vivid and painful picture of the life she led while under his influence. Then comes Dawn Richard. Dawn Richard, a former member of the girl group, became one of the most critical voices in the courtroom when she in connection to the federal case against Diddy Combs. In September 2024, Richard filed a lawsuit accusing Combs of sex trafficking, sexual assault, and false imprisonment. Her legal complaint was not just about her own experience, but also about what she witnessed during her time closely working with Combs as part of his music empire. In her testimony, Richard provided disturbing insight into how Combs allegedly maintained power over the women around him. She personally witnessed Combs physically assault Cassie Ventura, describing the moment in detail. According to Richard, it was not a private argument. It was an act of violence that revealed how far Combs would go to control someone emotionally and physically. She stated that the assault happened in front of others, which sent a clear message about the kind of environment they were in, one where fear kept people in line. Richard also described the psychological pressure that surrounded her work environment. That many of the women in Combs' inner circle were not there by choice, but because they were trapped by manipulation, threats, and the fear of losing everything. She claimed that Combs exerted full control over their movements, schedules, and even personal decisions. Another victim who stepped forward is Thalia Graves. In September 2024, Thalia Graves stepped forward with one of the most harrowing allegations against Diddy Combs. In a civil lawsuit filed that month, Graves accused Combs and his head of security of drugging, binding, and rapping her in 2001, an incident she claims was not only brutal but also recorded without her consent. Her case quickly gained national attention for the level of violence described and the specific details she shared. In her public statement, Graves recounted that she was invited to a private gathering with Combs under the impression that it was a business-related event. However, she said things quickly shifted when she was offered a drink that left her feeling dizzy and disoriented. She described losing control of her body and said the next moments were a blur. According to her, she regained partial awareness to find herself restrained and being sexually assaulted. She also claimed that a video camera was set up in the room, capturing the entire assault on tape. "I couldn't move, I couldn't scream," Graves said in her interview following the filing of the lawsuit. "And I remember him laughing. I remember feeling like my body wasn't mine anymore." Her words sent a shock through the public, highlighting not just the pain of the attack but the trauma of knowing it had been recorded. Graves stated that she remained silent for years out of fear for her safety and shame over what had happened. But after seeing other women come forward in 2023 and 2024, she found the strength to tell her story. Her lawsuit has since become one of the most serious legal complaints in the growing case against Combs, adding to the mounting pressure and intensifying public scrutiny. Then comes someone from Diddy's inner circle. Cindy. In 2017, Cindy, a former personal chef for Diddy Combs, filed a lawsuit that exposed a disturbing side of life inside the music mogul's mansion. Her role may have seemed limited to the kitchen, but what she experienced during her employment went far beyond cooking meals. According to her lawsuit, alleged she was repeatedly asked to serve food to Combs and his guests immediately following sexual activity. Often, she claimed, the individuals were still naked or partially dressed when she was instructed to enter the room with their meals. Said this happened so frequently that it became normalized within the household staff, and objecting to it was not welcomed. She described how uncomfortable and degrading these situations became, especially as they were framed as part of her expected duties. Also stated that inappropriate sexual comments were made to her on several occasions, turning what should have been a professional environment into something invasive and unsafe. The lawsuit alleged that these comments came not just from guests, but from Combs himself. When began to voice concerns about the treatment and the nature of the requests, she claimed her working conditions worsened. According to the lawsuit, she was retaliated against through increased scrutiny, shifting job responsibilities, and eventually termination. She believed her firing was directly connected to her refusal to remain silent about the inappropriate behavior she was subjected to. Before we tell you about another victim of Diddy, we would like to know from where you are watching us in the comments sections, and please subscribe to this channel. Jones. In February 2024, music producer Jones filed a civil lawsuit against Diddy Combs, accusing him of sexual assault that allegedly took place during Jones's employment between September 2022 and November 2023. His complaint added a new and serious dimension to the growing list of allegations against Combs, as it involved not just a former partner or employee from the distant past, but a recent male accuser from within Diddy's professional circle. According to the lawsuit, Jones stated that he was brought in to work closely with Combs on music production and other creative projects. He claimed that while the job initially appeared to be a major career opportunity, the environment quickly turned toxic. Jones alleged that Combs began making unwanted advances shortly after his employment began, including inappropriate comments and physical contact that he tried to brush off as jokes or misunderstandings. Jones said those interactions escalated over time. In the legal complaint, he described specific incidents where he felt pressured and manipulated, including an alleged sexual assault that occurred in a private setting during what was supposed to be a work-related meeting. He claimed that rejecting Combs' advances led to sudden changes in his assignments, growing tension at work, and eventually the end of his role. Then comes Crystal McKinney. In May 2024, model Crystal McKinney filed a lawsuit accusing Diddy Combs of sexually assaulting her in 2003. Her case added to the mounting list of women who have come forward with allegations spanning more than 2 decades, and her voice helped to reinforce a disturbing pattern of behavior now under federal investigation. According to the lawsuit, McKinney alleged that the assault occurred during a private industry event where she had been invited as a guest. She stated that Combs, who was already a powerful figure in entertainment at the time, approached her with what initially seemed like professional interest. But the night took a turn when she was allegedly separated from her group, offered drinks, and later taken to a more private setting. McKinney claimed that she was sexually assaulted during this encounter and left feeling powerless and violated. For years, McKinney said, she carried the weight of the incident in silence. Like many others in the modeling and entertainment industries, she feared that speaking out would damage her career or lead to public backlash. She also believed that, because of Combs' fame and influence, no one would believe her. It was only after other victims began stepping forward in 2023 and 2024 that she found the strength to come forward publicly. The next victim of Diddy was April. In May 2024, April stepped out of the shadows with a voice that had been silent for nearly 3 decades. Her lawsuit against Diddy Combs alleges battery, sexual assault, and emotional distress, with incidents dating as far back as 1994 and continuing through the early 2000s. But her account is more than a legal filing. It is the story of a woman who says she was stripped of control, manipulated, and discarded. "I was a ghost in his world," said in a public statement. "I existed when he needed me to and disappeared when he didn't." Her words cut through the noise surrounding the case, offering a rare and raw glimpse into how deeply the trauma took root. According to her lawsuit, first met Combs when she was young and hopeful, drawn into his orbit through what she believed would be a professional opportunity. But instead, she said, it became a nightmare. She alleges that the abuse began subtly, verbal control, emotional games, and threats disguised as charm. Over time, she claims, it escalated into sexual assaults and physical violence. She described being isolated, gaslighted, and made to feel like her voice didn't matter. "I remember staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself it wasn't happening," she said. "But I couldn't move, I couldn't scream, and the next day I was told to smile like everything was fine." For years, says, she tried to push it away. She moved cities, changed careers, and told no one. But the memories stayed. And when other women began to speak publicly in 2023 and 2024, she finally felt the world might be ready to hear her too. "I wasn't the only one," she said, "but for the longest time I thought I was." Her lawsuit has since become a critical piece in the mounting case against Combs. The next name is Derek Lee Smith. In June 2024, Derek Lee Smith filed a lawsuit that marked a powerful turning point in the ongoing legal battle against Diddy Combs. Unlike many of the other accusers, Smith is a male victim who alleges that he was sexually assaulted by Combs at a party in 1997. His decision to come forward added a new layer to the case, challenging assumptions about who could be a victim and underscoring the broader scope of the alleged abuse. According to the lawsuit, Smith was a young adult at the time of the assault. He had been invited to an exclusive party hosted by Combs, a gathering filled with celebrities, music industry insiders, and heavy security. He stated that he felt honored to be in such a high-profile space, unaware that the night would take a dark turn. Smith alleged that during the event, he was offered multiple drinks and felt disoriented shortly afterward. He claimed that Combs led him to a private area under the pretense of a conversation, but once isolated, the atmosphere changed completely. According to his account, Combs became aggressive and sexually assaulted him, leaving Smith confused, terrified, and ashamed. "I never told anyone," he later said in a statement. "For years, I convinced myself that it would ruin my life if I spoke up. I was afraid no one would believe me, especially because I'm a man." Smith explained that the courage to come forward came only after hearing other survivors publicly share their stories in court. His testimony is now viewed as a key part of the case, showing that the alleged abuse was not limited by gender or fame. His story has opened the door for more voices to be heard. Another Diddy victim was a teenager from Detroit, Jane Doe. In December 2023, a woman identified only as Jane Doe filed a lawsuit that quietly shook the foundation of the case against Diddy Combs. Though she has remained anonymous for her safety and privacy, her words, shared through her legal filing, reveal a deeply painful experience. Jane Doe says she was a teenager at the time, hoping to break into the music industry. According to her, she was invited to New York with promises of opportunity and mentorship. But what she described in her complaint was very different. She says that after arriving, she was taken to a recording studio where she was isolated, made to feel powerless, and subjected to an assault she never imagined could happen. "I thought I was walking into a door that would change my life," she shared through her legal team. "And it did, but not in the way I hoped." She claims that the experience left her shaken and afraid to speak out for years. According to her, she was told not to tell anyone what happened and felt that if she did, it could put her or her loved ones at risk. The silence, she says, wasn't a choice. It was survival. Now, as more victims come forward and the case gains national attention, Jane Doe has found the strength to be heard. "I know I'm not alone anymore," she said, "and I hope my story helps others find their voice too." Apart from the victims' powerful revelations, many witnesses are now stepping forward, sharing even more surprising and unexpected details about what they saw behind the scenes. But before we get into that, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of these unfolding updates. Additional allegations from witnesses. The recent trial involving Diddy Combs is unfolding in ways no one could have predicted. What started as a high-profile case filled with serious allegations has now become a day-by-day unraveling of a hidden world few ever imagined. Each new court session brings fresh developments, unexpected disclosures, and growing tension inside and outside the courtroom. And it's not just the number of witnesses that's turning heads, it's who they are. Several of them are recognizable figures in their own right. Industry insiders, former employees, and people who were part of Diddy's inner circle are stepping into the spotlight. One after another, they are describing environments filled with fear, control, and disturbing behavior that was often hidden beneath glamour and success. Many of these witnesses claim they stayed quiet for years out of fear of losing everything, fear of retaliation, and fear that no one would believe them. But the tide seems to be turning. The courtroom has become a space where silence is finally breaking. Each testimony is adding to the weight of the case, surprising even seasoned legal experts and those who thought they had heard it all. What was once considered unthinkable is now being laid bare, detail by detail, in a trial that is far from over, and growing more intense with every passing day. Regina Ventura. In a moment that left the courtroom stunned, Regina Ventura, the mother of Cassie Ventura, about the fear and emotional distress she endured at the hands of Diddy Combs. Her account revealed a side of the alleged abuse that hadn't been widely discussed, the pressure placed not only on the victim but on her family. According to Regina, Combs threatened to release explicit videos of her daughter, Cassie, unless she paid him $20,000. These videos, were recorded without Cassie's full consent and were used as a form of leverage when Cassie began trying to distance herself from him. The threat wasn't just meant to intimidate Cassie, it was aimed directly at her mother. Regina stated that she felt completely trapped. She knew the damage such a video could do to her daughter's life, career, and mental health. "I felt like I had no choice," she told the court. "As a mother, you protect your child, even if it means paying someone who's hurting them." She described how she sent the money to Combs, hoping that would be the end of it. But the psychological impact, she said, lingered long after the money was gone. The act of sending that payment was not just financial, it was emotional, humiliating, and terrifying. Another main witness who is Kid. Among the many shocking revelations in the ongoing trial against Diddy, Combs, one of the most unsettling came from rapper Kid, who about a direct threat he received after becoming romantically involved with Cassie Ventura. According to his testimony, after Combs learned about his brief relationship with Cassie, he made it clear that he was not pleased, stated that Combs allegedly issued a warning, one that felt more like a threat than a simple expression of jealousy. It was not just words. Shortly after, his car mysteriously exploded in his driveway. Told the court that while he had no hard proof linking Combs to the explosion, the timing was chilling and deliberate. He viewed it as a message, one designed to intimidate, to show control, and to remind him that stepping into Combs' world came with consequences. "I didn't say anything at the time," admitted in court, "but I never forgot it. I knew exactly what it meant." His testimony adds weight to the prosecution's broader argument that Combs used fear and intimidation to control not just those in his personal life, but anyone who came close to threatening that control. The story of the car explosion, whether provable in a criminal sense or not, painted a disturbing picture of a man accused of crossing boundaries, not only in private relationships, but in public consequences. Statement, quiet but firm, gave jurors a glimpse into the lengths Combs allegedly went to maintain power, and the fear it created in those who dared to get too close. Then comes Hayes inside the Freakoffs. In a testimony that added another disturbing layer to the case against Diddy, Combs Hayes, a professional dancer and entertainer, came forward to share what she witnessed and experienced firsthand. Hayes, who previously worked as a stripper, about her involvement in what were referred to by insiders as Freakoffs, private, highly secretive parties allegedly organized by Combs. According to Hayes, these events were not typical celebrity gatherings. She described them as carefully planned and controlled environments where selected women were brought in, sometimes without full knowledge of what was expected. Once there, she said, the atmosphere quickly shifted into something far more uncomfortable. Hayes that alcohol and drugs were often present, and that guests, especially the women, were encouraged, either directly or indirectly, to participate in sexual acts for the entertainment of Combs and his inner circle. She recalled feeling pressured to go along with what was happening, noting that refusal or hesitation was met with disapproval and coldness from organizers. Hayes explained that while she was initially told she'd be dancing or simply attending the parties, the reality was far more exploitative. "It wasn't just a party," she told the court. "It felt like we were being used." Her testimony aligned with other statements in the trial that described these gatherings as tools of control and manipulation, not just moments of wild excess. Hayes' account helped illustrate how women, many of them in vulnerable positions, were allegedly drawn into situations that quickly became exploitative. Lastly, we have Ash. As the trial against Diddy, Combs unfolds, more names from unexpected places are surfacing, and one of them is Ash, a former reality TV star known for his role on the series Gigolos. Once seen on television as a confident and charismatic escort, has now been identified in court documents as one of the male escorts involved in Diddy's so-called Freakoffs. According to witnesses and investigators, was allegedly recruited to attend Combs' private gatherings, which several individuals have described as highly controlled and deeply exploitative. These Freakoffs were not ordinary parties. They were secretive, invite-only events where both male and female escorts were allegedly used for the entertainment of elite guests and for Combs' own personal satisfaction. While has not publicly, his name has come up in connection with multiple accounts that describe how the events were arranged, who was involved, and what the expectations were. Witnesses claim that escorts, including, were sometimes brought in under the impression of being part of a high-end lifestyle event, only to find themselves in uncomfortable and coercive situations once inside. Court records and insider testimony suggest that male escorts were often used to create a specific dynamic at these parties, one designed to impress, intimidate, or control. The inclusion of a recognizable face from television underscores the extent to which Diddy's alleged operations reached into the entertainment world, blending celebrity with secrecy in deeply troubling ways. These victims' revelations and witness testimonies are not just building a case, they're reshaping it entirely. With each emotional account and sworn statement, the foundation of Diddy Combs' legacy is being torn apart in real time. What was once hidden behind fame, money, and power is now being exposed in open court. And if the momentum of these testimonies continues, they may be the final blow that ends everything Diddy built: his image, his empire, and possibly his freedom. What are your thoughts on the victims' testimonies? Do you believe justice is finally being served? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this unfolding case.